Okay, so we are at 1 minute past the hour. So hopefully the last few stragglers have joined and are ready for us to kick off with today's Dashboard Server 6.2 release webinar. So before we get into it, just quickly an introduction to me. So I'm Bruce Cullen. I am a Director of Products here at SquaredUp, and I'm responsible for the Dashboard Server product line, which is why you're hearing from me today, essentially, on this webinar. As always, a one single screenshot overview of what's in the release, just to give you a few ideas as to what is going on. Lots of things to see and do. I'm not going to make you play guess the feature this time, but we'll get straight into it right away. There is a bit of a theme for this release, and the obvious theme is SCOM. I mean, obviously, Dashboard Server is very focused around SCOM, but we have done releases that have had other focuses in the past, but specifically SCOM and its alert management capabilities, or Dashboard Server's alert management capabilities more specifically. Clearly, if you're involved in SCOM, alerts are the bread and butter of your world, along with obviously performance data as well. And it's been a little while since we've given them some love in Dashboard Server, and that is very much the theme of this release, starting with a very nebulously titled theme of Donut Love. No prizes for guessing what I mean by Donut Love, though. Obviously, I'm talking about the donut tile, which is primarily used for, yes, you guessed it, for alerts. So we've added a whole bunch of new features to the donut tile in this release, starting with the highly requested ability to group by with anything you want, any property of an alert, and then by anything you group by, you can drill down into the segments. As with everything in Dashboard Server from SCOM, we understand the data that is in SCOM, so we can do things like this. So whether you've integrated SCOM alerts with some ITSM tool, let's say, and you have tickets in there, or owner information is populated, or you've got something weird and wonderful in one of those custom fields, you can group by any of them and drill down into the segments. That's the first thing. Secondly, we struggled in the past with a large number of labels. So we've spent a bit of time on how it displays things and actually visualizes a large number of labels. This was actually one of the barriers to us doing custom grouping before, because we wanted to give a good experience. So that's now possible. Then, because historically we haven't had too much of a need for sorting, because we haven't had much in the way of grouping options, we've added sorting now. So you can sort by the value or the label, obviously ascending or descending. And we've also fixed the, arguably, I would say it's a bug. The engineering team might argue this is a feature. It's somewhere in between the two. The fact that when you used SCOM alerts with a custom resolution state, which are clearly really quite common, this tile would render with a black color palette, which is super annoying, but this is now fixed. Hooray! And then my favorite little sort of featurette really is the ability to click in the middle of the donut to the number in the middle. It's been possible to click on the segments before, but not on the middle. So you haven't been able to see all of the things that are being displayed in that donut chart, which you now can. I'm going to break from slides and just show you what I've talked about so far. So if I jump to my showcase dashboard over here, so we're looking clearly at a large number of donuts here that are sorted by various things. I'm going to start by showing you the ability to click in the middle. So this is servers by health, essentially. And in the past, I've been able to click on the 5 warning and to see 5 Windows servers that are in state warning. Cool, useful. But sometimes you just want to see all of them. And that's really what this use case of click the middle is all about. Where if I click this 35, I'll be able to see all 35 Windows servers, which is what this donut is configured to show. Now, there is an additional use case for this that is coming in a future release. I won't give away the surprise yet. There might be some spoilers later on in this webinar. So that's the first thing to kind of show here. Next thing is obviously the ability to custom group. And I've got some examples of donuts for alerts grouped by random thing, such as ticket ID or priority. And the 103 alerts groups by name is clearly kind of mad, but it works and it displays okay. If I put this in edit mode, this is a good example of where sorting is really helpful. So right now I've got 9 counts of application worker pool process terminated unexpectedly at the top. So the assumption would be that that is the thing that happened most frequently from the way I presented this data. But because this is not currently sorted, this is the default sort, that is not so. If I go to sort and I sort by the value, I can sort by the value descending to see that actually number one here is unable to establish TCP connection to dependency, which is worth knowing. You can sort by the value, by the label value, ascending or descending, and we've got the default, which is what Dashboard Server will do today without this sorting capability. Obviously, the main thing here is the custom grouping here. So let's say I wanted to group by monitored object or something, which is a clearly more random use case. I could do so. And let's sort that by the value as well to give you an idea. So I can see that dev SCOM MSO01, which is my SCOM management server, essentially is the thing that is generating the most alerts right now. This is clearly a demo lab, but you get the idea. These capabilities will allow you to do more with the donuts, specifically with alerts. So that's really cool. Next thing I will show you is alerts, the ability to show them with custom states. And this was meant to be a donut that showed you that, but clearly the alert that I moved into a custom state has got closed off. But no worries, because this is a live SCOM deployment, so I can move one of these that's in the new state to some other state other than new. If I go to the drill down here for the alerts and set the resolution state to, let's say, raise incident. Let's say I've got this integrated with an ITSM tool like ServiceNow. I might have some automation that moves things when they move into that state and raises an incident for them in ServiceNow, hypothetically. And there you go. So now I really, truly do have a custom state on this tile, and it's working as expected. Hooray. Very good, very cool. So that is a real high level of what we've done with donuts, but that's not all, obviously, not done yet. We're only 8 minutes into the webinar. So we're going back to slides to have a look at what else we've been working on. The next sort of mini theme of the release, if you will, is focused again on those alerts, but specifically working with alerts, managing alerts in Dashboard Server and their integration with tasks. Now, we've always had the ability to run SCOM tasks in Dashboard Server for those who have had permissions to do so, but it's not been hooked up to where you see alerts, which has been quite annoying. And a number of you have told us this in the past, which is totally fair enough. So now when you drill into an alert, we have a button here, task, which lets you run any SCOM task and obviously see the outputs as well. That's also possible when you're looking at alerts from the list view, where you have multiple alerts in that view. So not necessarily new functionality, just much easier to use, and was highly requested by you guys. So good stuff. Then to try and make it quicker to basically figure out what's going on when a SCOM alert is raised, when you're looking at alerts in that alert list view, we're now bringing in a perspective, any perspective we might have to show for the monitored object. So in this case, we're looking at an Oracle instance. We are displaying the monitored object, which is that Oracle instance called XE, and we're displaying a perspective we've created for it. To show you key bits of information. So if there was something that was like an obvious, this is caused by that, you've got everything you need there to hand. And of course, you can drill into any of these little visualizations as well, because this is effectively a matrix tile on a perspective. And then another little featurette in this same kind of wheelhouse, you would be forgiven for not noticing, essentially. The matrix tile, both in use in a perspective and on a dashboard, has not had the scalar tile before as an option, scalar visual. So we've added it. It is the humble but mighty visualization, because sometimes you just want a number. You don't necessarily care about showing a line graph or anything more fancy. You just simply want the count. So now this is possible. So another point to break and go back into my demo lab. And we're going to dig back into alerts again. We're going to drill down from one of my donuts into click the middle to see all the alerts. This is 103 alerts here. And let's have a look and see if we can see some of these new features So the first one here, just clicking on the very first alert in the list, is you can see the custom out of the box, not custom, out of the box perspective essentially for the monitored entity is right there, as is the task button. So in this case, I could hit simply run the tasks that are available for this object. So get monitor state as an example, and whatever the task returns will get brought back as well, so you can see the results. So that's really useful. I'm sure there are some better perspectives if I click around than that one. Let's have a look. Here we go. IAS 10 application pool is unavailable. Health over time is quite helpful because it's not been available for a large amount of time. I may want to drill into this alert rather than simply consume it from the list view. So if I go to drill down, I get this view where I see everything you've been able to see in the past. So the hosting stack to be able to go a bit deeper. And again, note I have my task ability here. So I could reset the state of this IAS 10 application pool, let's say. I don't actually know what this is going to do because I can't remember what box this is on. There you go. It's done it either way. You get the idea, essentially. It is a small but helpful feature. And the final thing was essentially, if I go back to my list of alerts, was the scalar tile within matrix tile. So for this, I'm just going to click around a bit until I find one. Obviously, this is a real live SCOM deployment, so the actual list of alerts does vary. Here we go. Unable to verify run as account. Here we have the work account and the module count using the scalar tile within the matrix tile on a perspective. So that is now possible. Hooray! Good stuff so far. What else have you got for me, Bruce? Well, everything else that I've got, I couldn't write bag of bits on the slide, but this is the delighters section of my slide deck where these are the things that will add more tools to your toolbox. These are things that have either been requested by customers or some things that we thought would just be a bit nice to add. Starting with the matrix tile sort. So you've always been able to sort the visualizations on the matrix tile, say by CPU, but it's not always been possible to save that sort. You would refresh the page and it would lose that sort, which was quite annoying because sometimes you know exactly what sort you want. If you're looking at Windows servers, let's say, you might want to sort by highest CPU if that's a common pain point for the matrix tiles use. Now you can save it when you're editing the tile in edit mode, and you apply a sort by clicking a column header. When you hit done, that sort is saved. Hooray! So that's good news. Then we have the for all tiles, essentially a full screen view, which appears in the top right corner, same place as the ability to copy and paste tiles appears. I'll show you this in practice in a minute, along with some real world use cases. This is something that we thought would be a bit nice to add, as it wasn't too much work, and our cloud product does it. And we've kind of felt we're missing out, so we'd have it in Dashboard Server 2. And then this one's been requested a lot of times, and it's seemingly a relatively simple feature, but will make life a lot easier for a lot of you DS admins out there, which is simply the ability to rename providers. You know how it goes. You set up a provider, say SolarWinds, and you connect it to a SolarWinds deployment. But then you do a new installation of SolarWinds, and you don't want to reconfigure all of your dashboards and tiles. You simply update the URL, and you want to update the name as well. Well, historically, you haven't been able to, whereas now you can. So now we're going to jump back in and see those features as well. So if I go back to my showcase dashboard over here and scroll past the donuts to, my sort is now savable, this tile here. So you can see at the moment, this is sorted by memory usage, lowest to highest. Now, let's say I wanted to sort this by CPU usage, highest to lowest. Seems reasonable. I've clicked the column header and great, it all looks as it should. If I refresh the dashboard, what I'm expecting I will see, sadly, yes, is that sort is lost and it is saved. It's gone back to showing me the lowest memory first. If I put this dashboard now in edit mode and go down to the tile and edit it, and now I sort by CPU, highest to lowest, and I hit save and I publish the dashboard. Then now if I refresh the dashboard, what I'm expecting to see is that, ta-da, my sort is saved, which is super useful. It means as DS admins, you can construct better dashboards and make more sense of the data you have within your DS deployments, which is cool. Scrolling down now to these performance tiles. So this example here is obviously a line graph. Now, if this were a tiny little square, you wouldn't be able to see a whole bunch from this. Now, this one is actually data from Prometheus. This is therefore something I can't click into. I can't drill down into any of the data points. So I haven't got a full screen drill down as I would have for the SCOM data down here. But now with this full screen mode, I can make the tile full screen, which means I can better understand the data I'm being shown, which is quite useful when dealing with data from any system, but in particular where there is no drill down available. It's also possible with data from SCOM. So this is an example from SCOM, where I can make that data full screen as well. But clearly that's less important because I can just drill into the tile and I get more sifting and sorting capabilities on the drill down for a SCOM object, for SCOM performance. But you get the idea. It's possible and can be quite helpful to kind of get closer to understanding what's going on. If I show you the final thing here, if I go into System and go to Integrations, you can see I have a number of active providers already set up. So you can see, oh no, I spelled audit with 2 T's by mistake. Oh, silly Bruce. Well, no worries. I can now edit the name and hit save. Ta-da. And it's as simple as that. And obviously it's the same for all of these providers, you know, SolarWinds demo or something. It is all possible. And it is as simple as it sounds. So exciting stuff from Dashboard Server 6.2. So it's worth obviously mentioning that Dashboard Server Release Candidate is available today, and you can get it at SquaredUp.com, download.SquaredUp.com specifically. And as with all Dashboard Server releases, in-place upgrade is what we recommend, and we'll give you priority support as a Release Candidate customer. We've got general availability available on the 22nd of May, which is an important date to note for other reasons, but we'll come on to that in a minute. But before we get anywhere else in today's webinar, I wanted to ask you a question, which is sort of partly because I'm intrigued to know how our marketing team is doing. I want to put this up in poll form, but did you know, hopefully this poll is now live, that we have a cloud dashboarding product that is cloud native? Did you know that before today? If you could submit your vote, I'd be very interested to see what you say. So I'll give you a few minutes to vote. I want to see how good a job our marketing team is doing. I do mention it on these webinars and bits and pieces, but it's really hard to know whether kind of the message goes, gets through basically. I can see the votes trickling in, and most people did know. And one of the options on there is yes. One of them is yes, but I just need SCOM, which is worth knowing as a product guy. If SCOM is the only thing you're kind of interested in, then clearly Dashboard Server is the best tool for you. So Dashboard Server still has its place, but equally, yes is just as valid an option. I'm going to give you a few more seconds to vote while I click through a few slides now, just to really explain what the difference is between these products. So Dashboard Server clearly is what we're here to talk about today, and it's best of breed for, yes, you guessed it, SCOM, because it's baked around SCOM, around its class structure, around its native capabilities. It works really well for where SCOM is the center of your world. You might have other tools in the mix as well, but they're not so important because most of your workloads are infrastructure based and are SCOM. It's great because we have perspectives, which we've been talking about and showing off earlier. We really understand the SCOM class structure, and we have more advanced SCOM features like the ability to manage alerts, to run SCOM tasks, and of course, put things into maintenance mode. And that's great. But we also have, as I say, our cloud product, which has its place as well. Now, our cloud product is best of breed for where you have got SCOM, but you've also got a whole bunch of other tools. Maybe you haven't got SCOM at all. It doesn't ultimately matter. The point is here, you're looking for a true single pane of glass that spans multiple tools. Cloud has the ability to aggregate data from multiple tools. However, it doesn't go as deep into SCOM, so you don't have any of the alert management stuff. You can see them, but you can't necessarily take action and, say change the resolution state of an alert or run a task or maintenance mode. So they basically both have a place. Now, it's at the end of the day about using the right tool for the right job, but sometimes you do need to use both. And that case is where SCOM still is really important. You do have lots of infrastructure and you're using SCOM to monitor it, but there's tons and tons of other tools in your landscape. So SCOM is important, but so is having a single pane of glass. And in this case, Cloud kind of comes into its own, and having both of these products together is important. It's worth saying that there is a free version of Cloud as well. And the reason why I'm showing you this slide is because I'd like to put up another poll, which I'm going to do now, which is all about integrating these two products. So I've set out that we have two products. I've set that you can use them independently, and the case for using both together, which raises the question that when you have both together, how should we go about integrating them together? Do you want to use essentially Cloud as your single pane of glass, or do you want to integrate the other way around? Do you want Dashboard Server to be a single pane of glass and to bring in the other things from other tools? I'm currently planning the Dashboard Server roadmap for after 6.2, and the answer to this question will help me decide which thing we do next and what sequence we do things in. So clearly I'm giving you a hint that we are planning to integrate more deeply Dashboard Server and Cloud, and we're hoping to do so in both directions. So Dashboard Server into Cloud and Cloud into Dashboard Server. So this is a priority question for you. I'll just give you a few minutes to get your votes in. And we'll see what we get. And one of the options is obviously no need to integrate them, because there are some people that only care about SCOM use case or single pane of glass use case. So there is simply no need to integrate them. That's important for me to know as well, because we could spend a bunch of time on this and not on something else. So I'll give you a few more minutes to vote before I move on to a final product management type question, which I'm going to put up in a second, which is a little bit of a crystal ball gazing question. Okay, it looks like integrating Cloud into Dashboard Server first is the way to go for you guys. That's all good. That's useful data. Thank you very much. So then the final product management question I had for you all today is, do you use SCOM scheduled maintenance mode? I have a poll to this effect. Now, the reason why I wanted the drill down into the middle of the donut option is because I want to have a list of all of the things you might want to put into maintenance mode, because I'm planning to do some work in this area and to build scheduled maintenance mode. But what I really want to get a gauge of is how important is scheduled maintenance mode to you guys? Do you all use it? Is it the majority that do use it? Do you have a third-party product that handles scheduled maintenance mode just fine, so there's no need for us to worry about it? Any comments on this would be super, super helpful. Right now, we're planning to do something in this area to give you a little bit of a sneak peek as to what's on my roadmap right now. And I can see the votes coming in, and it looks like the majority of you, 71% of you, do use scheduled maintenance mode, 73%. In the SCOM console itself. Okay, so that's helpful. There are some folk using a third-party product as well. And interestingly, 18% of you don't use scheduled maintenance mode. There we go. Well, that's really, really useful for me. So I appreciate your votes and your input into these questions. As I say, they'll help me shape the webinars and the release content, essentially, that goes into Dashboard Server. So that is essentially at a high level what I had. Just a few things to let you make you aware of before we go to Q&A. You may have missed this, but we as SquaredUp have started a podcast called Squapcast. And we're now on episode 4, which is on the 15th of May at 3 p.m, where the host of Squapcast, Adam, who is our VP of Innovation, is going to be talking to our CTO about SaaS and security, which is always a hot topic and should be an interesting discussion. So go and register for that and for any other future Squapcast events at this address, squareup.com/events/Squapcast. So that's coming up really soon. But more dear to my heart, of course, is SCOMathon, which is on the 22nd of May, which is also the GA date for DS Dashboard Server 6.2, which is coming up on the 22nd of May. As always, registration is completely free and is at scomathon.com. We've got some interesting and exciting content planned for you. We have a keynote from Cameron Fuller on AI and SCOM and monitoring more broadly, and a panel to match. We have 2 panel discussions and 10 hours of content, I think it is overall. So should be very interesting. Please do go and register today. And then finally, the big SCOM survey is back for another year, and I would strongly encourage you all to go and take a look at that and to fill it in. Now, we use this internally for making product decisions as to what we do. Do we spend more time and effort on SCOM in certain areas or in cloud, or what do we do? I also know that the likes of the SCOM product group look at what is said in the big SCOM survey for where they spend their time as well. So it's looked at by a large cast of people. Other vendors look at it as well. And I would encourage you to look at it. We're planning a coffee break on it for later in the year, probably the September, October time frame. It only takes sort of 5 to 10 minutes to fill in, and hopefully it will result in better products for those who use SCOM. So that's all my slideware. That's all my demoware. I'm going to turn it over to Q&A, and I can see there are always some bits and pieces, already some bits and pieces in the chat. So I'm going to slowly go through those too. Let's see. Interesting. So the first question was, do you think in the future we will have the long-awaited multiple selection for, say, setting specific alerts in maintenance mode, for instance? Well, as you probably would have guessed from my question, we are working on bringing scheduled maintenance mode into Dashboard Server right now. So yes, but the details as to how we surface scheduled maintenance mode are still up in the air because it's still being built, essentially. So yes, but is loosely the feedback there. Next question in the list: is full screen mode available for open access users? Oh, that is a very good question, and I don't actually know the answer off the top of my head, so I will have to get back to you on that. It would be really good to know if the answer is no, what the use case is for that. Is it the same as the one I set out in the webinar? Because if it's not, I can't imagine it would be hard to do. So it would be good to know that. Let's see, what else have we got? Can we select grouping by multiple columns? So this is presumably the donut tile. No, it's grouping by a single column right now. I'm assuming that what that question was in relation to. How can I access cloud is free? 3 users. Good question. Just go to squaredup.com. There's a big button for sign up for free on the homepage. Pricing is all on the website as well, so it's all fully sort of transparent. So you can just literally sign up for cloud and get the free tier. There are limitations in terms of what you can do, but it's all on the website and it's all very transparent, so that's all there. Next thing, I also plan on using PowerShell to put our servers in that mode as part of patching process. Okay. So this is for a comment from Mark, who uses PowerShell to put servers in maintenance mode. I've come across that approach quite frequently, presumably driving the SCOM SDK for the put this into maintenance mode now rather than scheduled maintenance mode. Yeah, I've come across that before. I've also come across it hooked up to ITSM tools. And then Scott saying that he uses a third-party product by Tim McFadden. We come across that quite a lot for scheduled maintenance mode and putting things into maintenance mode as of now, which is cool. And it works well because it doesn't require SCOM console access, which is always good. What else have we got? Vote for full screen for open access. Oh, cool. Okay, that's good. Make it easier for people on small screens. Yep, sounds good. Okay, I'll find out the answer to that question after the webinar, and I'll get it to those who've asked the question, whether you could go full screen on a tile in open access. Are there any other questions? Would the scheduled maintenance mode item be able to execute items that are already exclude items that are already in maintenance mode? So at the end of the day, we are essentially going to be adding a UI to the SCOM SDKs that already exist for scheduled maintenance mode. So it's going to depend on the behavior of essentially that SDK. Now, I don't know what the SDK does right now to know whether it would exclude or include essentially, but that is a very good question. And also because we're still designing it, we have some leeway to be able to customize what we do there. So I'd be really interested. That was a question from Al. What the use case is for essentially excluding items that are already in maintenance mode from a maintenance mode schedule. Presumably you just do that. You could just do that in scoping, but I can think of use cases where you might have something in maintenance mode already. That appears to be the last question. Al is typing a reply to my question, but before we end and while Al is typing, are there any questions from anyone else? If so, please do get them into the chat or the questions piece of Livestorm now, please. All right. While Al is typing his reply, all that's really left to say from me is thank you very much for coming to today's Dashboard Server 6.2 webinar. See you at Squapcast on the 15th of May, SCOMathon on the 22nd of May. And until next time, thank you very much. I will wait for Al's reply before ending the webinar. Al says, if you already have a member within a group for scheduled maintenance mode and new objects are added, it doesn't pick up new items. Would be nice if it does. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that's behavior we have any control over, sadly, because it is controlled by the SCOM SDK, which ultimately we're wrapping. So if that's the behavior today, that will be the behavior with what we're building. Because at the end of the day, we don't plan to build our own scheduling engine. We're just giving you an easier way to drive scheduled maintenance mode without having to worry about the SCOM console. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Until next time. Goodbye from me.